bullet tore through my saddlebag before I even heard the shot. By the time the second one hit my horse's neck, I was already diving for cover behind a granite boulder. The animal screamed, a sound I had heard too many times before, in the war, in the years after. A sound that meant death was close and getting closer. I hit the frozen ground hard. Pain shot through my shoulder, but I ignored it. Pain was just information. And right now, the only information I needed was where those shots came from. Third shot chipped the rock 6 inches from my face. Northwest, up on the ridge, maybe 200 yards. I pulled my Winchester from the saddle scabbard just as my horse collapsed. She had carried me faithful for 3 years. Now she lay twitching in the snow, steam rising from the wound in her neck. I did not have time to mourn. Fourth shot, wide this time. Whoever was up there was getting nervous. I steadied the rifle against the boulder, breathed out slow, found the muzzle flash through the falling snow. One shooter visible. Maybe another behind him. I squeezed the trigger. The man on the ridge dropped. His partner broke cover immediately, running, scrambling down the backside of the hill like the devil himself was chasing. I let him go, not out of mercy, out of practicality. I had a feeling I would need every round I had left. I recognized the dead man's coat as I climbed up to check the body. Brown leather with brass buttons. Same coat I had seen on 3 other men in Prescott last month. All of them drinking at the same table. All of them working for the same man. Garrett Mosley. The name tasted bitter even in my mind. Mosley owned half the territory and wanted the other half. He had been after my land for 2 years. Willow Creek ran right through my property. Only reliable water source in 15 miles. Every rancher in the valley depended on it. Mosley wanted to control who got access. I had told him no a dozen times. Seems he had finally stopped asking. I took the dead man's ammunition and started walking. 7 miles to my cabin. Storm coming in fast. Temperature dropping by the minute. This was going to be a long walk. The snow started falling heavy about an hour in. Big flakes. The kind that pile up fast and bury everything. The kind that turn familiar trails into white mazes where a man can walk in circles until he freezes. I knew these mountains, though. Every ridge, every creek bed, every stand of pine. 8 years I had been up here. 8 years since Ruth died, since Thomas stopped breathing in his crib, since I buried them both in the churchyard at Holbrook and swore I would never bury anyone I loved again. I built the cabin myself, cut every log, laid every stone. Some men build things to create. I built mine to disappear. I smelled the blood before I saw her, sharp and metallic, cutting through the clean scent of snow and pine. Human blood, and a lot of it. I stopped, checked my rifle, scanned the tree line. Nothing moved except the falling snow. The tracks told a story. Small feet, bare feet from the look of it. Staggering steps, weaving left and right. Drag marks where someone had fallen and crawled. Whoever made these tracks was hurt bad, and heading toward my cabin. I followed with rifle raised. Could be a trap. I had seen that trick before. Back in Tennessee, Confederate scouts would leave wounded prisoners in the open, wait for Union boys to come help, then pick them off. But these tracks did not lie. This was someone fighting to stay alive with every step. I found her 200 yards from my porch, face down in the snow, black hair spread out like spilled ink, dressed in ceremonial clothes, Apache from the patterns, leather and beads and designs that meant something I did not understand. She was not moving. I approached slow, checked for ambush. Nothing. When I turned her over, her eyes fluttered but did not open. Young face, maybe 25. High cheekbones, sharp enough to cut glass. Lips cracked and bleeding, and a wound in her back. Knife wound. Someone had stabbed her and left her for dead. My first instinct was to walk away. Not my problem. Not my people. Getting involved with Apache business was a good way to end up with an arrow in your chest. But then I saw her feet. Purple. The color of bruised plums. Frostbite setting in fast. Another hour and she would lose them both. Another 2 and she would be dead. I thought about Ruth. She would have helped without hesitation. Would have carried this woman inside and stayed up all night nursing her back to health. Ruth had that kind of heart. I buried that heart 8 years ago, but apparently some part of it was still alive in me. I picked the woman up, lighter than I expected, carried her to the cabin and kicked the door open. The heat hit us like a wall, fire still burning from this morning. I laid her on the floor near the hearth, stripped off her wet clothes, wrapped her in every blanket I had, got water warming on the stove. Her feet were bad, real bad. I had seen this before, in the war. Men who fell asleep on picket duty and woke up missing toes. The trick was warming them slow. I filled a basin with lukewarm water and eased her feet in. She moaned. First sound she had made. Good sign. That is when I saw the necklace. 3 grizzly bear claws on a leather cord, polished to a shine, hung with beads in a pattern I recognized from the trading post. This was not just any Apache woman. This was a chief's wife. The ceremonial clothes made sense now. Wedding dress. The kind of thing a woman wore on the most important day of her life. Someone had stabbed a chief's wife and left her to die in her wedding dress, which meant someone might come looking. I looked out the window, snow falling thick. Storm would last all night, but storms end. I had Garrett Mosley's men wanting me dead for my land. Now I might have Apache warriors coming for this woman. I poured myself a whiskey and sat down to wait. She woke on the second day with murder in her eyes. I was cleaning my rifle when I heard the blankets rustle. By the time I looked up, she was already searching for a weapon, eyes darting, hands feeling under the blankets. I had removed her knife the night before. She found nothing and froze, stared at me like a cornered wolf. I kept my hands visible. Easy now. You are safe here. But try anything foolish. I will put you back in the snow. Her jaw tightened. Why did you help me? Still working that out. I slid a cup of water across the floor toward her. She watched it like it might be poison. Drink. If I wanted you dead, I would have left you outside. She drained the cup in 3 swallows, then looked at her bandaged feet. The purple is fading, I said. You might keep all your toes. Too early to tell. She nodded once. No tears, no panic. This woman had seen hard times before. For 3 days we circled each other like wary animals. She stayed by the fire. I stayed by the door. We spoke only when necessary, but I watched her. She watched everything too. Windows, exits, weapons. She was mapping escape routes. Smart woman, dangerous woman. On the 4th night, the storm broke. Stars appeared through the clouds. That is when she started talking. I was his wife, the chief of my people. Tarek. 4 years. She said it flat, like reading from a list. 4 years, no children. A chief needs sons. A wife who cannot give them is nothing. I said nothing, just listened. They took everything, my clothes, my jewelry, my name. Then they gave me back my wedding dress and told me to walk into the snow. The knife wound? My brother, Nayati. He was ordered to finish it, make sure I did not survive. Your own brother stabbed you? He aimed where it would not kill, then he let me run. I thought about that. A brother ordered to kill his own sister, choosing to wound instead. Will they come looking? Yes, when the snow melts enough to track. So I had a few days before Apache warriors showed up looking for a woman they had already condemned, and Mosley's men were still out there. 2 fires, both wanting blood. Me caught in the middle. On the 5th night, she thought I was asleep. I was lying on my cot, back to the room, eyes closed. But I was not sleeping, had not slept well in 8 years. She sat by the fire staring into the flames. Then she started talking, quiet, almost a whisper, talking to herself, or maybe to the fire, or maybe to ghosts I could not see. It was never me. The words hung in the air. I lost a child once, before Tarek, when I was 15, a boy from my village. We were young, foolish. I miscarried early. No one knew. My breath caught. I kept my eyes closed. Tarek is old, older than my father was when he died. He has taken 3 wives before me. None gave him sons. 3 wives, all blamed, all cast out or dead. Her voice hardened. It is him. He cannot give children, but a chief cannot be seen as weak. So someone must be blamed. And the blame always falls on the woman, she laughed then, bitter and broken. I could have told them, could have screamed the truth, But who would believe a barren wife over a chief? I lay still, processing. She had been blamed for something that was not her fault, condemned to die for a man's failure, and no one had spoken for her, not even her own brother. I understood something then. This woman had not just been abandoned, she had been sacrificed, and she had walked into the snow knowing the truth would die with her. The next morning, Silas Cutter came riding in hard. Old Silas, 62 years, former fur trapper, only neighbor within 10 miles. We did not talk much, but he was reliable. I met him on the porch. "Trouble coming," he said before his boots touched ground. "I know. Mosley." "Worse." He glanced at the cabin. "You got company. Apache woman. Found her half dead." Silas nodded. "Saw moccasin tracks north of Willow Creek yesterday. Fresh. 2, maybe 3 Braves." My stomach dropped. "And Mosley's gathering too. 4 men now. That gun hand from Texas is leading them. Virgil Crane." Virgil Crane. I knew the name. Knew it from Chickamauga. We had fought on opposite sides. He watched his brother die on my bayonet. Some debts have no expiration. So I have enemies north and south. "What is your play?" I looked at the snow-covered valley. "I do not run. Built this place with my own hands." "Then you better start counting bullets." That night I laid out everything I had. Winchester 76, 38 rounds, Colt single action, 24 rounds, Remington shotgun, 16 shells, Bowie knife. Not enough for a siege, maybe enough for a fight. She found me counting by candlelight. "You are preparing for war. I am preparing to survive. I can help. You can barely stand. I can shoot." She met my eyes. "My father was white, a trader from Missouri. He taught me before he died. The Apache taught me to survive. I am both." I studied her face, found no lies. I pulled my spare Colt from the drawer and slid it across the table. "Prove it." She checked the action, sighted along the barrel, professional movements. 6 shots, I will not waste them. They came at dawn. Mosley's men, 4 of them approaching from the south, Virgil Crane in front. "Come out, Holloway. Mosley is tired of asking nice." I watched from the window. She was at the side door with the Colt. "Wait for my shot," she nodded. Virgil was getting impatient. "Last chance." I sighted down the Winchester, found the man beside Virgil. Bigger target. Squeezed. The boom echoed off the mountains. He dropped. Bullets punched through my walls. Glass shattered. I fired twice more. Another man fell. A third slipped on the ice I had poured in front of the cabin 2 nights before. Went down hard. Her Colt barked once. He stopped moving. 4 down to 2 in less than a minute. Virgil was already running, dragging his wounded partner toward the trees. "This ain't over, Holloway. Mosley's doubling the bounty." Then silence. Just the wind, the smell of gunpowder, and from the north a single arrow embedded in my doorframe. Someone else had been watching. Nayati stepped out of the trees with empty hands. He looked like her, same cheekbones, same proud stance, but his eyes were haunted. She met him on the porch. I stayed back, rifle ready. They spoke in Apache first, fast, angry. Then she switched to English. "You came to finish what you started?" "I came to warn you." His English was rough. "Chief Tarek sends 3 warriors. Stone Hand leads them. They arrive tomorrow." Stone Hand. The best tracker, the most loyal. He will not fail like I did. "Then why are you here?" He looked at her for a long moment. "Because you are my sister, and I have already betrayed you once." He turned to me. "White man, you fight well, but 3 warriors come. They will not show mercy." "Neither will I." He almost smiled. "Then you will die with honor." He looked at her one last time. "Live well, sister. Send word to our mother. Let her know you survived." Then he was gone. She stood frozen on the porch. First time since I found her, she looked lost. "Your mother does not know you are alive? She thinks I died in the snow. Then we will make sure she learns the truth." She looked at me, really looked. "Why do you care?" I thought about Ruth, about Thomas, about 8 years of emptiness. because everyone deserves to be remembered by someone. That night we made our plan. She spread pine needles across the table like a map. Mosley's men come from south, my people from north. They do not know about each other. You want them to meet. I want them to fight each other first. Ruthless, brilliant. My father called it letting your enemies do your work. Before dawn, I rode out on Silas's horse. I circled wide, came up on Mosley's camp from the east, left gifts for them, an Apache arrow, a strip of leather from her ruined dress, moccasin prints in soft mud. Let them think they had two enemies now. Meanwhile, she lit a signal fire near the ridge where Stone Hand would be watching. Big fire. Lots of smoke. The kind white men make when careless. Let them think Mosley's men were closer than expected. By noon it was over. I watched from the tree line as the two groups collided. Stone Hand's warriors saw Mosley's men first, assumed they were the threat, attacked without hesitation. Mosley's men, already paranoid, opened fire immediately. 5 minutes of chaos, gunshots, arrows, screaming. When the smoke cleared, only 3 were still moving. Virgil Crane, limping south. One of Mosley's men, crawling with an arrow in his leg. And Stone Hand, untouched, standing among the bodies like death itself. He looked toward my cabin. He knew, and he was coming. Stone Hand found us at dusk. I was waiting on the porch. She was inside with the Colt. He walked right up to the steps, no weapons drawn. You are clever, white man, but cleverness does not change what must be. She is not going back. She is already dead. I am here only to make it true. Then you will have to go through me. He studied my face. You would die for her, a woman you found in the snow? I have died for less. Something shifted in his expression. Then we fight. No guns. The old way. He drew his knife. Obsidian blade. I pulled my bowie. He was fast. Faster than anyone I had ever fought. He moved like water, flowing around my strikes. The first cut opened my left arm. Deep. The second grazed my ribs. But I had learned to fight in the mud of Tennessee. Learned that battles are not won by the fastest man, but by the one who refuses to fall. Stone Hand came in for the kill. I let him. His blade aimed at my throat. Perfect strike. But perfect strikes require commitment, and commitment creates opportunity. I stepped inside his reach, took the cut on my shoulder instead of my neck, and drove my bowie into his chest. He looked down at the handle, then up at me. She is free now. No one else will come. Then he fell. I was still standing over the body when I heard hoofbeats. 2 riders, coming from the south road. Garrett Mosley himself, and beside him, Virgil Crane, arm wrapped in bloody bandages. Mosley had heard about the battle, heard his men were dead, and instead of running, he had come to finish the job himself. He dismounted 20 yards from the porch. Virgil stayed mounted, hand on his gun. Mosley looked at Stone Hand's body, then at me, blood-soaked, exhausted, barely standing. He smiled. Well now, looks like you have had quite a day, Holloway. I said nothing, just watched. You know, I offered you a fair price for this land. 3 times. You could have taken the money and gone somewhere warm. Started over. It is my land. It was your land. Now it is going to be your grave. He took a step forward. I have been patient. 2 years patient. But patience has limits, and you have killed too many of my men. They tried to kill me first. Details. He waved a hand. Here is how this ends. You sign over the deed. Right now. Then you walk away. I will even let the squaw live. She can go back to her people or stay with you. I do not care. And if I refuse? Then Virgil here puts a bullet in your head. We burn the cabin, and we tell everyone the Apache did it. I looked at Virgil. His hand was shaking. Wounded arm. Pain making him slow. I looked at Mosley. Confident. Certain he had won. You want my land that bad? I want the water. The land is just bonus. Then come and take it. Mosley's smile faded. I was hoping you would say that. He reached for his gun. I was faster. The Colt in my hand before his cleared leather. One shot, center chest. Mosley looked down at the red spreading across his white shirt, looked up at me with something like surprise. You were supposed to be tired. I am tired, just not dead. He fell. Virgil Crane stared at his employer's body, then at me. His gun was half drawn, but his hand was shaking too much to aim. Go, I said. Tell everyone in Prescott what happened here. Tell them Ezra Holloway does not sell. He did not need to be told twice. Turned his horse and rode hard for the horizon. I watched until he disappeared. Then I sat down on my porch steps and let the rifle fall. Everything hurt, but I was alive, and so was she. Old Silas rode in the next morning. He found me sitting on the porch with a cup of coffee, watching the sunrise. Bodies still lying where they fell. Heard shooting yesterday. You heard right. He looked at the carnage. Mosley, stone hand. The others scattered across my land. Looks like you had yourself a war. Something like that. He dismounted, pulled a shovel from his saddle. Going to need help burying all these. Appreciate it. We worked all morning. 6 graves. Did not bother with markers. These men did not deserve remembering. When we finished, Silas leaned on his shovel and looked at me. Word is going to spread. Mosley dead. Apache warriors dead. All by one man. Let it spread. You will not have trouble again. Not for a long time. He was right. Word did spread. Within a week, every rancher in the territory knew what happened at Willow Creek. Nobody was eager to test me. The weeks that followed were quiet. She healed. Her feet recovered completely. She could walk without pain, work alongside me mending fences and feeding livestock. She never talked about leaving. I never asked. One morning in February, she found me in the barn. Ezra, there is something you must know. I set down the pitchfork, something in her voice. I am carrying a child. The words hung between us. It happened before I was cast out, before I came here. The chiefs? No. She shook her head. He could not give children. That is why I was blamed. But before him, there was someone else, a young man from another band. It was forbidden, brief, but it happened. I leaned against the stall, processing. Why are you telling me? Because you deserve to know. Because this child will be born in your home. She paused. Because I need to know if this changes things. I walked to the barn door, looked out at the snow-covered valley. I buried my son 8 years ago. Thomas. He was 2 years old. My throat tightened. I do not care whose blood runs in that child. I care about who raises it. You would accept this? I am not accepting anything. I am offering. You stay. The child has a roof, food, someone to teach them how to survive. Her eyes filled with something I could not name. That is more than I ever expected. Spring came slow. The snow melted in patches. The creek ran high. Cattle grew fat on new growth. I built a room onto the cabin, small but solid, space for a crib. She wrote a letter to her mother. We left it at the trading post, hoping it would find its way through the networks that connected the reservations. 2 weeks later, I rode back. The letter was gone. In its place, a strip of red cloth and a small bracelet made of wooden beads. I brought them home. She held the bracelet for a long time, tears on her face but smiling. My mother made this. She knows I am alive. The red cloth? It means life, new beginning. She pressed the bracelet to her chest. She is blessing the child. Summer arrived with the baby, a girl, strong lungs, dark hair like her mother. She held the infant in the morning light, exhausted but radiant. In my people's tradition, the father gives the name. I am not the father. She looked at me. You found me dying in the snow. You defended me. You gave me a home. You accepted my child as your own. She placed the baby in my arms. You are her father now, in every way that matters. The baby weighed almost nothing, light as a promise. I thought of Thomas, of tiny hands that would never grow. Hope. She tilted her head. Her name is Hope. That should have been the end of it, a quiet life, a second chance. I came to Arizona Territory expecting to die alone, built my cabin as a place to disappear, spent 8 years waiting for the end. Instead, I found a woman freezing in the snow, a woman who had lost everything, who had been betrayed by those who should have protected her. She said she would repay me that first night. I told her to forget it. But she never forgot, and neither did I. Some debts cannot be measured in money. They are measured in choices. In staying when leaving would be easier. In building something new when everything you loved has been buried. The girl will grow up on this land. She will learn to ride before she can read. Learn that survival is earned, never given. And someday when she asks about her past, I will tell her the truth. That her mother walked into a blizzard expecting to die. That I found her by accident, saved her by instinct, and kept her by choice. That family has nothing to do with blood. It has everything to do with who stands beside you when the bullets start flying. 3 weeks after Hope was born, a U.S. Marshal rode into Prescott asking questions about a man named Ezra Holloway, some warrant from Tennessee. Something about a Confederate officer who died under questionable circumstances